Hi everybody, this is Colton. You might recognize me from the last one.
Yes. And what's our video on today?
The Enlightenment.
The Enlightenment. This is the second part of our unit on the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment. Aren't you excited to start this one? Yeah, me too. All right, let's start off.
Enlightenment.
Right. Is when people started using more reason.
Yeah.
And reason means to apply the scientific method to other parts of life to understand it better. So what other parts of life could that be? Well, let's think about it. You could think about the world in all sorts of ways. Apply it to social studies. Apply it to, of course, science. Use it to study school and education. How about money and economics?
Money.
Yeah.
I want that money.
Yeah, doesn't everyone? And use it to make the world better and people happier, right? I thought you didn't want to be in this video.
That's my sister.
Yes. Now we talked about Isaac Newton, not Fig Newtons. You could go show how you got more Fig Newtons. So, how did Newton say the world operated, Colton?
Like a clock.
That's right, like a clock. But now we're going to talk about some other people from the Enlightenment that didn't just write about science. Ready? So the first one is John Locke. Do you remember what country he was from? He was from England. And he was alive from 1632 to 1704. And he wrote a lot about political philosophy. When they're in US 1 next year, they're going to have to know a lot about John Locke.
He died around like 70.
Well, 1704. Oh, in his 70s? Yeah, he was about, yeah. But we're going to talk not so much about politics that he wrote about, but some other stuff right now. Now, what is that a picture of?
Chalkboard.
Okay, so is there anything on it?
No.
It's blank, right?
Wait, I know what there's on it.
What?
Smears from the other stuff
Yes.
that they wrote down, and then the chalk.
Yes, that's being very literal, Colton. But basically there's nothing on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except the smears and the chalk.
Right. So now, he said when you're born, you don't know anything. You don't know the capital of New Jersey, which is?
Trent.
You don't know 9 times 9, which is?
81.
Good. You don't even know if you like chocolate or vanilla ice cream better yet because you haven't tasted it, right? So your brain.
No, I didn't.
No, your brain is like a blank slate when you're born. You're not who you are because you don't know anything yet.
Does it say another word for a chalkboard?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we don't use that word too much. And this is called the tabula rasa. Oops, it wasn't supposed to. The A is part of tabula. And that basically means blank slate. That when you're a little baby, your mind is like a blank slate. And then as you live, all these things are written on that slate and it shapes who you are. So how do you figure out who you are? Well, it's because...
Writing things on the chalkboard.
Right? And those things that are written on the chalkboard are your experiences. So finally having ice cream, right?
I shall write on the chalkboard in my mind.
Yes. And your experiences come in through your senses. So what are your senses? You can...
Hear, see, smell, touch.
Yes.
And taste.
Right. Now, and he says, as you taste things and smell things and feel things and look at things and hear things, those experiences create information on that.
Tabula rasa.
Right. And tabula rasa, right? And that helps shape who you are. Now, there's a problem. What if your senses are wrong? Some of our classes did this. What if you feel something that's not there? What if you see something that's not there? So if you can't trust your senses, can you trust what's on that blank slate and who you are? Oh, no. Well, that's something that these people thought about. What were they called?
Philosophers.
Well, there. Philosophes is a fancy word for philosophers. Do you know what country they were in a lot? France. And they hung out in these places called salons, which is where they would do what?
Like read books, discuss important ideas, and stuff like that.
Yeah, good. So they were trying to change
the world.
Were they trying to make it worse?
No.
Okay. No, they were trying to make it better, right? And these philosophers influenced things like our revolution when we fought against who? The British, right? And all sorts of things. All right, so we're going to talk about one of these, a couple of these philosophers. One is Montesquieu. Do you know what country he was from?
Germany.
Now, what country did we just say the Enlightenment really took place in?
France.
France, right. And he was alive from 1689 to 1755. He was a French judge, he was a writer and a political philosopher. So he really shaped our country too, not just John Locke. Do you know what happened when he was only 7 years old?
Mom died.
Yeah, that's sad that his mother died, right? Well, anyway, in 1748, what did he do?
Like the spirit of the lost.
Right. Now, Colton, what happened in 1776? We fought against the British. Why was that?
Revolutionary War.
Right, a Revolutionary War. So was this before?
I just guessed.
Was this before or after 1748?
After? No, before.
Right. So this book was actually an inspiration for our revolution because this book was all about important things that he observed in governments. Because what he did is
he used scientific methods to study the government.
Right. So he observed governments, and he observed there's three main types of governments. He observed that there were
republics, despotism, monarchies.
Right. And he thought republics were best for like medium-sized states where the people could help. Right, where the people could help run things. He thought despotism was good for really big countries like Russia and China because they would need something to keep all those people in line. And he thought monarchies were best for like small countries like England that would need to help with some protection and stuff like that. It's a monarchy. So he observed England a lot. And what he noticed was that there was
3 branches of government.
Right. There was the
monarch.
Right, which would be the executive, the parliament, which would be the legislative, and the
judges.
Right, and that would be the judicial branches. Now, we call this, in our country, the separation of powers. And it's not a coincidence. It's because after Montesquieu noticed how this works, our founding fathers, like especially Madison, was like, hey, we should probably put this in our Constitution, right? Because our Articles of Confederation didn't have it, but our Constitution did. And then there's something called checks and balances. They'll learn so much about that in US 1. Separation of powers. So, what do you think, Colton?
That's the end.
All right. Did you learn a lot today? How would you describe what's the big thing you'll remember from this video?
The 3 branches
of government? Yeah, that's an important thing to know. All right, say see you later.